Hey babes, my name is Chasity.
And my name's Hannah.
Welcome back to Bookish Babes.
Today we're going to be talking about our unpopular opinions on overrated books. Not meant to offend anyone. If you like these books, good for you. Just ones that we weren't crazy about for specific reasons.
Yeah, there are specific reasons, and
we're going to justify it.
Yeah, if you like these books,
great. I'm so happy for you.
I'm sure there's books I like
that you would think is trash. Yeah.
So,
and there's books in this category that we disagree on. Majorly.
Like the first one that I am going to say a very unpopular opinion time. I think Twilight by Stephenie Meyer is a bit overrated.
I'm a huge fan of Twilight.
I'm sorry. So here's the thing. Let me explain myself a little here.
Go ahead.
This is a little scary, guys. I liked Twilight. I read Twilight, New Moon, and Eclipse before the movies came out, before it was like cool to read them. And I really enjoyed the story. I did. Of course there are parts that I was like, okay, that's a little much. But I really enjoyed the story. I personally really love all the other Cullens. Like
Carlisle is my everything.
Jasper and Alice are.
Oh, I do love Jasper now.
Oh.
Yeah.
So the story has great parts. I love the story itself. What I don't like and what like really made it overrated for me was more of the fandom. The craziness that blew up after the movie. The Team Jacob, Team Edward. And I was just like, this is getting a little much. Don't get me wrong, I was super excited for the movie. Me and my friend went to see it like the first week.
I went to all of except for the first one because I was too young when the first one came out. My mom didn't really let me see it. But all the other ones, I like went to the midnight showings. Like I waited for hours to be the first one into the movie theater. I bought all the merch.
Totally cool.
Yeah.
Like I bought a lot of the merch too.
I do
because,
understand.
like I said, like I was really into it as well. Like I bought a lot of the merch. I had the Alice necklace and like I was really into it. I think though it's a good story. It's enjoyable. I don't think there was anything real mind-blowing about it.
Just for like reference, one time I got grounded because I was caught reading my Twilight books in class multiple times. My mom like took my Twilight books away and she said, "You're done." Like that's it. Like that's how much I liked these books. I totally get though the whole like being a little grossed out by the whole Team Edward, Team Jacob thing.
Yeah, because
especially given the ending of the books and all like the whole Jacob and Renesmee situation, and also the fact that it was never really a choice. Like it was never really a secret that Bella and Edward were like these soulmates. Also, I'm not saying Twilight's overrated, obviously, but Bella and Edward were like my least favorite characters, which is funny because they're the main characters.
I think that's the biggest point for me, is that I would have liked to see more of the other Cullens. If the story had been about Alice and Jasper, I probably would have like devoured it a little bit more.
Stephenie Meyer had wrote a spin-off on like
the
Carlisle or something, like Carlisle's backstory, all those years that he was alone
any of the other
vampires. That would have been my jam.
Do you know how many like ideas float through my head about all the other backstories? I would have loved to see something like that.
I totally get
To me, Bella was
annoying.
My very least favorite.
Yeah.
She was like a very weak, annoying character. And I'm sorry to anyone who like seriously loves Bella.
Totally get that.
I mean no disrespect, but like to me,
I love Twilight, and I could totally admit that Bella was super annoying.
Yeah.
I didn't rate it for her.
So it was like, and again, the whole Team Jacob, Team Edward thing. If you read the books, like there was never any teams.
If
anyone really thought she was gonna end up with Jacob,
I think it was
I'm not
more
sure,
like who do you like more?
Yeah, it's gotta
not who Bella's gonna end up with, because it was never really like a secret that Bella and Edward.
When I was like super into it, everyone was always like, "Whose team are you on?" And I was like, "Team Jasper." I'm not even involved, guys.
I was super into Emmett when the movies first came out. I loved Emmett, and now I love Carlisle. I love him as older man.
The whole thing is, I'm not saying it's a bad story. I'm not saying I don't like it. I did enjoy it, but I do think the hype is a little bit much.
I won't kill you in your sleep, but I'll remember this.
She's gonna remember this.
I'll remember this forever.
I'm sure you'll get me back in one of these videos.
Right? So now on to one that we actually agree on, and it's very fitting that we're doing this one next because, as most of you probably know, it was a Twilight fanfiction, and it is 50 Shades of Grey. Now, I had so many problems with this series that I realize now that I'm older and not when I first read it. Because when I first read it, I was way too young to be reading it, and I was kind of just like, oh my gosh, wow. I felt like, you know.
Whereas when I read it,
like, it was a little like dangerous, like, because I wasn't supposed to be reading it. My mom would have murdered me if she would have known I was reading it. But
how old were you?
Like 14 probably.
Okay, so
I was
this is
way
a bit
too
different.
young. So I didn't really see all the problems with it because my view was so tainted by the fact that like I was just kind of like excited to be doing something that I thought was like more grown up. But now that I'm an actual kind of grown up a little bit, and I went and reread them not that long ago, and I couldn't even get through the first one. The dialogue is horrible. Anna has no self-respect, and Christian is definitely... you know, there's a difference between, I don't think he's abusive because he's into BDSM. That's not the issue for me.
No.
The issue for me is that he's very verbally abusive and he's very
emotionally,
controlling. Yeah. He controls her like nobody's business.
That contract is a freaking joke.
It's disgusting. It's disgusting. And the fact that she is always like, oh, I can't do this because it's going to piss Christian off, and then he's going to like lock me in a room or something. That's not healthy.
See,
and I don't like that I read this as a young girl because I feel like it gave me this warped sense of what it was like to be like soulmates with someone, because they're thought of as like a couple to look up to, and they're not a couple to look up to. I don't want to be in a relationship like that.
This is how I'm going to describe it, because if you enjoyed it, that's great. Okay, I'm not trying to knock it, but this is how I'm going to describe it. This relationship is as toxic as the Joker and Harley Quinn.
Yeah.
Okay, and that's okay to be like, a lot of people like that relationship. It's not a goal. You should not ever like,
here's the
have
thing
a
is, I
goal
think you
to
should
be like
take
that.
50 Shades for what it is. And if you're looking for like some trashy smut, then cool.
That's right up your alley.
That's what it is. And I'm not hating on that. If that's what you're into, if that's what you want to read, cool.
I mean, every once in a while you want a trashy
Yes,
book anyway.
for sure. I like books with more substance in the dialogue, so this is definitely not one. This is like, I have the whole series, and I even have I have Gray and Darker, which are the first two from Christian's point of view.
I've heard that those are better.
They are. I do like them better because I love a good backstory on like a nice tragic man. But
we agree on this one. However,
Yeah.
I was like, she said she read it when she was so young. I was already older.
yes,
I was like 22,
So she
23 when I
immediately
read
saw the
it. I
problems with it.
immediately saw the problems. I got about 40 pages into the second one, and I was like, I just can't.
it's real bad, and it's not necessarily the writing. Like, I think she's a good writer, and I'm happy for her because this was a fan fiction and it did get published and it's very successful. Obviously they made movies off of it, but I'm just not, I wouldn't recommend this, and it makes me really upset when I see young girls reading it because it really makes me nervous that they think that's what relationships
An
should be
ideal
like.
relationship should be
Yeah,
like, and
it's
like,
not something to look
those.
up to.
And here's the thing is, I'm all about like villains and stuff, so
I am too.
I get it, and
That's why I really
But-
liked reading them from Christian's point of view, because
Yeah.
I didn't like Christian, and I still don't like Christian. I don't think he's a good man at all. I don't think that he has any business being in a serious relationship.
no,
But
no. I think he needs to figure out himself and love himself first before he could do anything.
needs a lot of
and
work.
that's not what happens in these books.
yeah,
So
sorry.
That's that.
Sorry
I'm
to
sorry.
50 Shades fans.
sorry, please don't hate us.
Yeah.
I'm sure we have differing opinions on other things.
Yes.
Next one that we're going to talk about today, we actually agree on as well, but it's definitely an unpopular opinion, I
Very.
think. It's Romeo and Juliet by Shakespeare.
And I think Shakespeare in general is very overrated. I love classics, especially when I was in high school. I read a ton of classics, and I've never liked the way that Shakespeare has portrayed women in his stories. They're always the martyr. They always need to be taken care of by the men in their life, and it's always just like a very tragic story when they are without men. It's
So-
gross.
Speaking of tragic,
Yeah.
like, that's what I think is wrong with this. It's very concerning how people just conceive it as such a huge love story.
It's not a love
It's
story.
not a love story. It's a tragedy.
Yeah.
Selfish, irresponsible actions caused the
Kids.
death of several people. And
Children.
I don't understand how anyone reads it. So here's the thing. When I was in high school and I read it, I probably thought a little bit differently of it. I didn't see how big of a tragedy it was until I was older. But I never liked it. I just didn't see the point.
I didn't read Romeo and Juliet until after I read Hamlet, and I hated Hamlet. I read Hamlet in high school for an AP English class that I was taking, and once again, Ophelia is just the worst character. You know, she like loses her father and her brother and suddenly she's lost, so she kills herself and like throws, like they find her body like floating in a river or something. And then Hamlet's so annoying because he didn't do what he was supposed to do. Everybody else in the story dies. And
everybody dies.
It's just so, yes, it's just so tragic because the main characters don't do what they're supposed to do.
No. And
Romeo and Juliet are children. They had no business running away together and killing themselves.
It was like,
because the other one was dead.
3-day relationship?
It's gross. And I don't like that they have young people read that in school because it makes people think like that's what they're supposed to aspire to in a relationship.
And at that age, they're so moldable.
You're so impressionable. Yeah.
Like, just, I really don't think it should be read in school at all. I get other ones, Animal Farm, 1984.
Because those have like, underlying messages. What is the underlying message to Romeo and Juliet?
To not be selfish.
To like not kill yourself over a guy that you met a few days ago when you're 15. Which she's like 15, right?
And it was like a 3-day relationship, and then they died.
And then they killed themselves. But then, like, it wasn't even necessary because, like, she wasn't even dead. And then she woke up and saw that he was dead, so then now she was actually dead.
Like, oh, I'm faking my death, and now you die, so I've got to die too.
Yeah.
I just...
So much tragedy.
I'm really sorry. That's all very salty.
I'm almost not even sorry about it. I just don't understand. No tea, no shade. I really don't think that anybody should honestly enjoy Romeo and Juliet. It's because it's not a love story.
No,
it's not. And if you like it and you realize it's not a love story, cool.
That's different.
But like if you're like, oh my god, we're like Romeo and Juliet. I hate when people say that. When they're
really
like,
take a look at that story again.
They're so cute. They're like Romeo and Juliet. That's not cute. They both died. They both killed themselves. It's not cute. It's not something to aspire to.
Again, most of these ones we have issues with because they're not couples to aspire to be.
No, but people look at them as such, and it's gross. It's concerning.
And don't get me wrong, I read plenty of books that I enjoy that the couples should not be a couple to aspire to.
Here's the thing: is there's growth and there's things to learn from in a lot of romance books, but there's nothing to learn from in
not
these
all
books.
Of them.
You can't read these stories and then learn from these characters' mistakes because they're still making them at the end. You know, you can't really learn from it.
No, and again, you shouldn't aspire to be.
No, don't kill yourself over a guy you met 3 days ago.
Please don't. Please don't.
I'm talking to you.
It's not worth it.
Yeah.
It's not worth it. I promise
you're gonna be okay.
Yeah, I promise you, you'll be fine. Just don't do it.
So the next book series that I'm going to talk about is going to piss a lot of people off, and I realize that, and I'm already going to apologize, but it is the To All the Boys I Loved Before series. I actually have all 3 of them with me because we are going to a bookstore after this, and I'm going to unhaul them. I'm gonna try to get like some store credit or something for these because I didn't like this trilogy. Now, Jenny Han has another trilogy that she wrote. It's the Samurai Turned Pretty trilogy. I read that when I was younger and I really loved it. And then I read this one, maybe it's because I was older when I read it, but
probably
I didn't like it at all. I found Lara Jean and Peter to be just really annoying as a couple. They always had some sort of drama going on, and not like the good kind of drama that keeps you entranced. Yeah, it's just kind of like you're
disclaimer, I've never read them, and I have no desire to read them.
No, and to be honest, I didn't like. I have the 3rd one honestly just because I'm a book collector and I like to complete a series, and I tried to read the 3rd one, but I didn't get through it. I preferred the Samurai Turned Pretty series so much more. Even now, I reread it when I was in high school and I still really enjoyed it. So I just think that this one was really poor compared to her previous works. Sorry.
And for me, I tend to, if there's a real big hype on something,
maybe that's
I kind of learned to pass because honestly, with Twilight there was a big hype and I got over it. There was such a big hype about 50 Shades, so I finally picked it up and I was like, this is what all this madness is about. That's kind of what it is, and it always ends up being that for me. So I don't know if that's just something that's already like preconceived in my head.
Maybe that's it. Is maybe I don't get how they made a movie about this and people like love the movie, and I couldn't even finish the movie. I didn't enjoy it. I don't like the storyline. Maybe it's I don't like that. I don't like the main characters, and I don't like the dialogue between them. I think it's very, I just don't like the whole idea that they start dating and it's fake, and then of course it turns into like a real relationship because they're in high school and one's a boy and one's a girl and they're straight.
That's very predictable.
Yeah, it's just not.
Again, I've never read it, but that's very predictable. Sounds
yeah,
very predictable.
It's just not. It's not a good time. And the whole like, you know, Genevieve is the typical mean girl who's like jealous even though she doesn't want the boy. It's just all very cringy to me, and I don't like the dialogue in between them. So, not a fan.
So there you have it.
Mm-hmm.
Those are our unpopular opinions. Mm-hmm. Please don't hate us.
Yeah, please don't be offended. We hope that even
we mean no disrespect.
Yes. We hope that even if you liked any of these books or series that we talked about, you still enjoyed this video and you will forgive us.
Yeah, and definitely comment down below and let us know what you think are some unpopular opinions that are just overrated.
All right. We will see you guys next week.
Thanks so much. Bye.